it takes a lot of contemplation right now for me to be able to come on live, because as you know, or maybe you don't know, how severely I've been targeted here, on the platforms, not just one. There's not just one. And nobody told me actually what was nobody told me what was going on, especially not in the beginning. I figured out a lot of things on my own by intuition and observation, using the skills that I have to know what's going on around me. But none of it is so compelling as to know that it's because I'm loved by the Savior. I'm loved by God. He loves me. And He knew that I was in harm's way. And I prayed to Him and asked Him for answers to try to figure out what was going on. And the more I figured out, the more I was being attacked. And the more I'd pray, and the more I was being attacked. I wonder why that would be, right? I knew that that there was surveillance going on. I didn't know why. Usually you have to get a judge to sign off on being, having surveillance go on. There has to be a really good reason for it. And, I don't have a criminal record. And so it was like, why would they do that? And then a lot of excuses have been given along the way. But, when we're on these apps, and I was on a music app that covered the whole world. I mean, every country from the whole world was on there. And one way or the other, the man I was working for, we were both being scammed, and by somebody that we thought was U.S. friendly, but they were from another country, but they were U.S. We thought they were U.S. friendly, right? We didn't know any better, and so and I know that for a fact that I'm not the only one in the whole entire world that hasn't been scammed by. Now I'm being scammed by everybody, so it's kind of like it has been a thing for way too long for me. But in my case, I called the police and I told them, I filled out a report, told them what happened. But, and they knew that, but they came after anyway. I mean, it makes me wonder if that's why they put me on the watch list. If it was that, or because I had drawn the attention of somebody over in the Middle East, and they were trying to make sure I wasn't some sort of sympathizer. So that's what I've tried to pick up. And while there might be some understanding, why they might, well, not that why they would think I would do anything like that, but if that was they could use that as a motive, I guess, to say maybe that's why. I don't know. But I didn't have any kind of criminal background. There's no actual real reason to target me at all. But out of jealousy. I was on a music app, not the one that I've been singing on now, but one previously. And if you're, and I've said this before, if you're really good at what you're, at your talent, it's going to make some people jealous. Well, I didn't know about a gift that was given to me. I was given gifts. I have inheritance, and people want, because I had been diagnosed with a terminal illness, and I had let some people that I felt I could trust on the app know that, they decided, well, not just them, but even the people in my community decided, since I was going to die anyway, that they could just steal what was actually legally mine. And steal my opportunities in music. Everything that I did, they used copycats, stole my work. From here in Utah, clear to DC and all around and everywhere. They got people to help them just send that thing worldwide, right? And I had to come here to get help because the police locally wasn't actually helping me. I was trying to get them to, and I emailed the DOJ here in Utah, but it took a lot just to get anybody to listen, to know, so they would know. Because when I left this music app, I went to a different one, but they left the one I was at and followed me on all of the platforms. They got my family involved. I saw them hacking my accounts, putting porn on my storyboards. Yeah, it's been kind of a big deal. And then they came after me. They came after me in the name of God. That crazy, that crazy prostitute woman. I've never been a prostitute. They knew I'd never been a prostitute, but that was a whole scandal. They made me a prostitute. I'm a thief, I'm just, who knows, I have STDs. I mean, these guys knock themselves out to try to take me out, not just in my dreams and my aspirations in life, but me emotionally and even physically, hoping that I would be so embarrassed and so broken that I would just die. And then to hack and channel ban, channel ban me, I guess, from the police. Who's doing it, I mean, we've got spy headquarters right down the street here in Lehigh. They can see everything everybody's doing anyway, so they see what you're doing and they see what I'm doing if you're a part of this mess. So, I mean, they're going to see it, right? But the thing is that never has there been a time that I didn't really count on the Constitution of the United States of America. And I thought that, from what I understood, I thought that's what we all care about, is that each and every one of us have the right to have that protection, to have police protection, and to be able to, and if there's a problem, or, especially even in probate court, they kept me out of probate court because they didn't want me to come in there, completely smeared my name, right? And made sure, and they knew where I was. And I mean, in fact, there would be no problem in them finding out where I was for me to be able to come to court. And so because all this has happened, and I've been begging for help, from DC and, FBI, just doing everything I can. I can tell you what it feels like to be a man without a country, to have people in your own country do that. And how so utterly, what a nightmare, when you didn't do anything wrong, you didn't do anything to deserve it, getting pushed out of place after, condo and apartment hopping, changing, rerouting my mail, taking my mail, went to the police about that, right? And then not getting my mail because it was not coming to me, and then having somebody set me up to lose my truck, and they took my truck and went and wrecked that, but they never changed my registration, so even after they took the truck, my name and registration was still on it, and I never bothered to change that. So it's all this setup. And of course I had to kind of really put my thinking cap on and really think about what was going on. And, and then suddenly all of a sudden I'm going through all this stuff. And then all of a sudden, they mess with my SSDI, only to find out that somebody had said I was dead and was receiving Social Security death benefits. But Doge was supposed to go out and look for people that were getting, we're supposed to be catching people that were getting like death benefits from people. In fact, I heard him say that on the news, that they were trying to catch people that were getting death benefits for on and on and on and on, right? To try to save, us from, all these terrible people. But me, I had been diagnosed with by a top specialist, a hematologist, with metastatic breast cancer. And to get SSDI, you have to have a doctor sign off. You can't just get it. And people, they can appeal and they can go to court and they can try, but when you have cancer, especially when it's a terminal one like that, the doctors sign off, it's just a done deal because they know. And then it takes you probably like 5 months to even get it when you first even apply. But so much has happened, and I have to really give thanks to God, because honestly, even though they were attacking me in the name of God, it really took God to keep me going and to keep me trying to get the truth about what was going on around me out there. We have to really pay attention right now, because I feel, well, you guys know, we really need to be on our toes. We do. I don't want us to lose our Constitution. That's the only thing that we have to protect us. And I don't, and my rights were being taken from me left and right. Illegal surveillance coming into my house to get things out of my home, you know, and to put cameras in the condo that I was in to go in and to film me somehow illegally. All of these things are just incredibly violating. And you don't even know that, you don't know how that feels, how sickening that feels to know that people were just completely not following the law, knowing what the law is. And my ex, he was an attorney, he knows the law. and yet having these people come in and do this to me, thinking that was going to be okay, because I had money coming and I'm going to die, I don't know anyway. And I told you these things before. And I've got kids, right? Even if I had died, my kids would still get what's mine, Oh, they want to make sure that didn't happen, right? So, and it goes so deep. It's so much deeper than just what I'm telling you. But the main thing, and I'm not going to stay here for a really long time, I just wanted to make sure that you are using your intuition and you watch everything that's going around you. Really, it's very important to really pay attention. And, there's a lot of lies that have been told, all kinds of lies, not just one category or one industry, okay? Just about everywhere. And and with the AI coming out, we're learning new information about a lot of different things, about religion, about government, where people came from, and so all of us there's a lot of things that are coming up, and the world is changing because now we actually have a way to see that, and for that purpose, AI is good. But in my case, they used AIs to create, embellish, to falsify evidence in a court of law, made sure that I wasn't there. And and I don't want to keep a bad time, like a nightmare going. No, that isn't the point. But the point is that if they can come after you, and I've said this before, religion has no place in government. It has no place in government. It has no place in the courtroom. They practice that like in the Middle East and Egypt and all that, where the husband owns their wife. They own their wife. And and they have some really frightening laws that they use to okay, my phone just stopped. I don't know why. It just got interrupted. But anyway, yes, everybody's phone's being hacked, right? Well, there's this thing, I was just telling you about jurisprudence where the men are owning the women. And right now, that tells me that if you're not married in our country, that could be a problem. Maybe that's why. I don't know. Or, let me put this back on the stand. Or, if, because you don't want to be caught as a single woman. If by chance they were here and, thought we were free game, right? But there's another part of it too that's also frightening. With Christianity, it's almost like the same thing. Since I've been targeted, everybody, this guy wants to marry you, this guy wants to marry you, and it's come to my to the forefront of my mind to think that that maybe they're trying to protect me. Maybe they are just trying to protect me, and that's crossed my mind. And under those circumstances, I appreciate it. But because there is, money involved, I feel like there's a double-edged sword here. Because, sure, they can sweep in and protect me, but at the same time, they can also be that husband, and there's still that jurisprudence. And that's what would happen if you combine church and government, is then the law, and they might say, no, it's not going to happen. But, I see things ahead of time, and I kind of see the way things are going to fold out. And we all know in Utah how it's been for us, with the patriarch and the matriarch and all that. And I'm more of a balanced, I don't want to, give all my power away to my husband or a boyfriend or anybody, you know what I mean? I want to hold on to my power. I don't want to do that. I don't want to get married just so they can come and steal from me. That is no reason to get married if somebody doesn't actually love you. Okay? Is to, to come in just so that they can take advantage of you. And that's what I feel. It's like, why would strangers keep offering to want to hook up with me? It just didn't make any sense. And so I kind of put two and two together a while ago. Because like I said, we're all on these platforms and we have people seeing us from all over the place. Okay? We do. And right now, the internet is a dangerous place. And it's too bad too, because a lot of us work here. We work here and we want to be able to thrive here in a safe way online. And if I don't have, in my state of Utah, in the United States, if I don't have due process or police protection, and people can just, because they want to steal, want to go and start a rumor and say I'm somebody that I'm not because they think I'm going to die and never find out. You see, and also to fake my death and to get a false power of attorney. And really, my ex actually, this is what I was told, okay? You can go check that my ex actually said I was dead, had a life insurance policy on me, got life insurance, and Social Security death benefits, and yet they came after me. Doge came after me on SSDI and not them. And there's no way in hell they didn't know I wasn't married to the guy. And clearly they would use the same Social Security for me that I'm using. So I mean, some of these, the thing that they did to me was really kind of stupid. It was very stupid. Let's just be clear. But this is if this could happen to me, don't you know that it could happen to you? Don't you know that? My rights, my human and civil rights, just like yours, matter to me. They matter so much. It's the only thing that we have that protects us from government. You know what I'm saying? And and we don't want, we all want protection, but you have to be really careful of propaganda. And them trying to switch me up with a copycat because they want to steal or whatever. And I'm not going to name names or anything like that. They want to be me and they want to go do my thing, right? Because they think they're smarter than, more talented than me. And maybe they are, but they're not me. They're not really me. And so, the law and our rights, and when somebody takes the time to give you a gift, or to leave a will with you being the beneficiary, that person that's passed on truly intended that to be for you. And so these people thought they could just sweep in and just take over. And you would have feelings about that. If the tables were turned, you would absolutely understand what I'm talking about. There would be no question about it. And then just say, oh, we didn't know. They knew. Of course they knew. I live in this community. People know me. They know what I've been through, for sure. Then they went out there to say, oh, well, she's just lying about cancer. She never had that. They know I went through chemo. They know everything I went through. And there's records. But they decided to change change my HIPAA records too. It would take some really powerful people to be able to do something like that. That is frightening to think that could happen to anyone. And I'm not, I'm going to be fine, this is all coming out to the surface, right? But to ask a person not to feel their feelings about things, to not be able to tell people to keep you safe. I'm taking the time to be here to tell you what happened to me so that you would know what could happen to you. And that no matter what, you protect that Constitution. Your freedom of speech, your right to due process, the right to your human rights, your civil rights, to not have government come into your house, Do not have them look at you. Now, you know, they're already doing that. You know, China can see us at any time. They're doing it already. And, you know, like I said, we have Spice Center right here in Lehi, Utah. They can see us, all right? I don't know that we're going to be able to really do much about it, but it is against our civil rights. They have no right to do it maybe out in the streets, okay, but in our home, you know, to fabricate evidence, to use AI, to literally, they literally did that and took him to a court of law to smear me. So that they could just remove me, to hurt my feelings so much that I wouldn't even want to be alive. I'm a singer. I sing, and I'm really good at it. And I'm not going to stop for these goons. I don't care who they are. Even if the celebrities don't like me, I'm still going to sing. Maybe I'll sing your song. We could make some money. I don't know. But I think that we should be trying to get along and to come together as a nation. Don't worry about your color. Don't worry about your religion. Don't worry about how much money you have. We all need to stick together, and I mean it too, like you never have before. We need to stick together as a country and have all these little fake, phony divisions, no matter what these little squabbles are. Oh my gosh, more than ever, we need to stick together as a nation and demand those civil rights and not let anyone, under any circumstances, tax us to death or take away our civil rights. That is not who we are as a country, and we cannot allow that to happen. I don't care who you like as president or who you're against. We need to level the playing field here, because pretty soon it's going to be so lopsided that somebody's going to be trying to take all the power, and nobody's voices will be heard anymore. It'll be by force. So if you want, I want a free country. I want my country to be free. We have the soldiers, they have fought for this country, lost their lives for this country, you know, since we've been here. And no, it's not a perfect place. And there are criminals in government. We know that, even from the beginning, right? But I want that safety. I want to be able to worship God the way that I choose, without it being in a court of law, because people are different. Our belief systems are different, and there is a reason why we have freedom of religion, and why we should be able to worship in a way that we see fit, as long as it's not lying to, hurting, and harming, and conditioning, and brainwashing people. If we're out there brainwashing people or saying, you know, and there's another thing too, there's not one religion that is particularly more guilty than the other. Some of them think that they are so self-righteous that they can come in and tell you that you are a whore, because that's what they called me. They called me a whore, and that I had STDs, and that I was a prostitute and a thief. Things I've never in my life done. And you want me not to have any feelings about it. What country? Well, you obviously don't come from my country. I come from the United States, you know. It's a country that you've forgotten, that you don't even know. You know, I don't know what you're thinking. And you know what? Just because I like to dance and have fun, and you know, doesn't mean that God doesn't love me. You know, He doesn't expect us to be perfect all of the time. And I was telling somebody today, you know, instead of saying, you know, you're this, you're that, and condemning your neighbor, you have no business. Are you a judge? No, you're not in a court of law. You're not a judge. Christians do not have the right to come around and tell you who you are. They don't. If they tell you that you need to repent, you tell them, you go repent for even saying that to me, because it's wrong. Who are they? They think, oh, who are they to come and tell a person that Jesus wouldn't love them if they do that, or they're going to go to hell? Oh, come on. This self-righteous attitude is just, it has gone too far, especially in my case. It has gone so far. Jesus Christ, He came to this world to free people. He didn't come to further oppress them. And He wants us to use our gifts and talents. Yes, He doesn't want us to do anything that's going to harm anyone. I can understand it to a certain point, and we need to have good, solid, moral laws that protect everyone, not just one particular viewpoint. To me, this is all common sense. But since this thing about wanting religion and having a Christian nation to dominate everything, some people are no religion at all. Some people are just spiritualists. I happen to be religious and a spiritualist. There's no division for me, you know. Plus, I believe in science. You know, I like to be well-rounded. And I'm not afraid to ask questions, to say, well, why am I believing the way that like this? It's okay to research your beliefs. It's okay to get the information that you need to make a really good, sound decision about how you want to conduct your life. If you are living in a thoughtful and considerate way in this nation, nobody should be messing with you at all. And whatever your preferences are in your own home, that's your business entirely. Now, there's some laws I think that are out there that are not really prudent for the nation's children. Like if they create these laws here today, we have to make sure that it's not going to end up harming our kids later on. Meaning, video games, and not saying all video games are bad, okay? My kids love video games, okay? I wish they didn't. But we have a right to keep our kids safe and to make some good decisions and know what we're getting into. And there's laws that we need to consider today that's going to affect the future of our nation and our kids. And I could tell you what those are right now, but I'm already been beat up enough, so I don't want to tick anybody off. You might agree with me, but some I'm sure they won't. But still, I believe in Jesus Christ. I really do. He is who I pray to, but I understand him and I think the most accurate way for me, and you don't have to agree, I believe that he loves us and he wants us to be happy and free and not oppressed by anyone. He wants us to be able to create and to color outside of the lines. Get your big crayons and color outside of the lines. It's okay. Be yourself. If you've been in a staunch religion like I was, I didn't go batshit crazy or anything when I walked away from the church, like the official religion. I didn't. I was still prayerful. I was still in the parameters, and I never broke the laws. Well, maybe I was like, I don't know, no, did I? No, I'm not sure. Oh yeah, I was late on my car insurance. I lost my car insurance. Because, I'm on SSDI, I've got a fixed income, and I thought I was going to die, so I was just singing and having a good time till the day I died. But still, I'm just saying, we are here, men are that we have joy. And if religion is so restrictive, do you know what you're going to do? You're going to go sin because somebody's telling you can't. It's human nature. And the stricter it is, the more you want to do it, And it's like, okay, well, we need to, think of it in a different way. Like, if I do this could happen, this could happen, this could happen. What am I going to do, okay? I have choices to make. And you can make it in a way to keep you safe. You don't have to be, going out there like, whoa, we're free now, no, not that. you have to be prudent and thoughtful, and you want to keep your body clean, and you want to remember the Savior. It's not like you forget, that there's God and he's watching you. It's not about that. But you have a right to just color outside the box and to be the person that you were meant to be, what makes you really happy. That's what you're supposed to do. And nobody can just say, oh, well, you can't be famous and you can't do that, or, it's your world. You're born,
Come here.
Oh, no, I've got to go. I'm just doing a video. We have a big dog out here with the roommate. But I just, it's almost like, here, I'm going to hand you this gift. What are you going to do? What are you going to do with it, How can we use that gift of knowing that Jesus Christ loves you? He doesn't want someone judging you so much so that you don't even want to try and be something because it's so far gone, it's ridiculous. Yes, Jesus could come back any moment. Yes, but don't you think he loves you? Don't you think he wants to save you? He doesn't want to lose you. And he gave us free agency to choose. He knows that we're going to mess up. He knows that. And he expects that. And we have to have a repentant heart. We got to try to do what's right. But there's a difference between sin and crime. It's a totally different thing, okay? When you commit a sin, you're hurting yourself, okay? Maybe you hurt somebody else too, sort of, kind of, if you did. But maybe it was agreement and you did it together and it was just a sin. However, if you commit a crime, that's a bigger deal because it's a crime. It's a sin against humanity. It's a bigger deal. And you can't just go off and just say, oh, well, that was no big, you can't just let certain things slide because pretty soon we're going to be like, remember that movie called Escape to New York? And all they had, like the whole, I don't know if it was the world, but the United States was completely gone. There was only New York, and the only ones that survived were the criminals, which is probably true because this is hell. And so they're all in New York, trying to get by without getting, emptied, and not trying, just to try to survive, right? Find food, looting, looting and shooting. That's what they were doing. But we don't want to get to that point. We don't want to have a country that's like Escape to New York. And that's exactly what I'm talking about. We don't. We want to be able to be free and to have people willing to do their part to obey the laws and to respect your neighbor and to not steal, or else, right? Because you deserve protection. You really do. And everything because of the internet, every single day, we're in harm's way. Every day. And we need to have at least some core values that keep common-minded people together and protecting themselves. And I'll tell you one thing too, just because you believe in the Savior doesn't mean that you get kicked, right? And that's just it. Oh, well, you're Christian and, bad things are supposed to happen to you because you worship God. Just pray. Well, these criminals are annihilating us and we're just supposed to pray and not do anything for ourselves. Well, we have God within us. We've been promised, that we have the light of Christ within us and that we absolutely can do some things for ourselves. And we should. And I was put in a situation where nobody was helping me until, the last couple of months, right? Because everybody was confused. They didn't know what was going on because, I was being slandered so badly. And when you're standing alone and nobody knows what the truth is, and I'm begging somebody, please, just follow up on what I'm telling you. Because I knew what happened from that music app. I knew they were coming over. I already knew what my family was doing, and I knew what church members were doing. And I was none of the things that they painted me to be, ever. I'm not perfect. I'm a sinner, but I'm not a criminal. I never was a criminal. I was just somebody enjoying, I was just singing until the day I died. And I thought that was going to be sooner than later. And I outlived it. Oh, and they're so upset that I did. Can you imagine that when you believe that you're going to die and you need people to embrace you and support you more than you ever had in your entire life, and you have people coming after you because they want to steal something from you, or they put life insurance policies on you thinking that when you die they'll be able to cash in, and these are religious people. I feel like I really am in the twilight zone right now. Because that is exactly what has happened. And there's so many people here that know that's true. But anyway, I just want you, if I can hand you the crayons and tell you, don't despair. God still loves you. He's still there and he really does care about you. And man, is that he has joy, and it's okay to color out the line outside of the lines, but just keep yourself safe. Think of the commandments too. There's reasons why we have those commandments to keep us safe. And, and I think that they're good. They're very, well, I know they're good. But my point is also that these feelings that we have about God and who we are as people, it's very personal. And our life choices do not belong in a courtroom if we're not hurting and harming or breaking any laws. And that is my point. And I'm going to leave that with you. And I hope you have a wonderful day. And do something for yourself that just makes you happy. Keep your feet on the ground and keep on going. That's all I'm doing. That's all I can do. That's really all I can do. I wish you the best. I really do. I'll talk to you later. Hold on.